You don't need magic to disappear for a while, because Firestone tires were built for ticking off mile markers. Firestone Destination LE3 tires for 70,000 miles of exploring. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
Ken Langhals founded K&M Tire in 1970, with his first location a two-bay gas station in Northwest Ohio. Since then, his initial investment of $100 and tons of sweat equity has multiplied. Over the years, K&M exited the retail business and focused solely on tire distribution. Today, the business has 32 distribution centers and operates in more than 25 states. Ken's daughter, Cheryl Gossard, is the company's president who handles day-to-day operation, and Ken plays an active role as the company's founder and CEO. Now at the helm of K&M, Cheryl is looking to improve the company's processes and continue its legacy in the tire industry.
Welcome to Johnny G and Friends. I'm Johnny G, and on today's podcast, we're joined by a father-daughter team of Ken Langhals and Cheryl Gossard. Ken, Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Johnny.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. You know, Ken, I want to go back to the late 70s. I was working in Chicago, and I would see your name, K&M, pop up on the, best one tire list, but you were like way on the bottom, and here you are 40 years later, you're number one. I mean, I really want to congratulate you, Ken, for everything that you've accomplished and have done for the tire industry. Congratulations.
Yeah, Johnny, I told some of the employees a couple of weeks ago that in the 70s, we were selling about 2,000 tires a year, and I thought we was a pretty big deal at that time. Well, now that was a little gas station there in Ottoville, Ohio. Now we have 32 warehouses from the Midwest all through the up to the Northeast, I guess, and we're now selling 2,000 tires an hour instead of 2,000 tires a year. So, yeah, I feel very fortunate and very blessed for all the good times we've had. That's for sure.
That's unbelievable. 2,000 tires an hour. I mean, yeah, that's pretty amazing. Very amazing. Cheryl, you must be so proud of your dad, huh?
Oh, I am, definitely. If you Google American Dream, his picture should show up. It's just amazing to me what he's been able to accomplish over the years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Ken, you quit your job at General Motors. You borrow $100 to start a two-bay gas station. Is that how you got started in the tire business?
Yes, that's it. I had a great job at General Motors, but I sort of got bored, the same old thing every day. So I wanted to do something different. And I knew this gentleman in Ottoville, Ohio. He had a two-bay gas station. He wanted to sell it. I wanted to buy it, but at that time I was broke. After we talked for a couple months, he finally said, if you come up with $100 to make change in the morning, we can make this happen. So pretty much with $100 and a handshake, I got in business and paid him a little bit back each month until we got him paid off.
That's a great story. Great story. So was that $100 and change for people to pay gas so you would have change and stuff? Because we didn't have credit cards back then, right?
That's right. Everything was cash back then.
Unreal. That's Cheryl, you never worked at the gas station. You probably weren't born then, huh?
Correct.
So Cheryl, I'm assuming you got your start in the tire business at the kitchen table, listening to your dad talk about work and everything. Is that about right?
That's about right. I remember maybe not so much the kitchen table, but in the living room, right? We'd be watching TV in the evenings and he'd have papers spread out on the coffee table, looking at financials or looking at reports to order tires, things like that. I also remember in the car, I never understood it at the time. I felt like I was the only kid, right, that would be in the car and not be able to listen to music because he always had a cassette tape on listening to somebody. I think Zig Ziglar was his favorite. If you can dream it, you can achieve it, right?
Oh, I love it. That's a great story. Yeah, those are great childhood memories. I mean, those, and that's what it's all about. So Cheryl is president now of K&M. Can you share with our audience things that you learned from your dad that are still in place today in the company?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. Just started out by don't do any or don't expect anybody else to do something if you're not willing to do it. Hard work. Walk the talk. If you say it, do it. So a lot of things like that. He taught me a lot about how to research and problem solve. The answer is always yes. Now let's figure out how to do it. So yeah, a lot of good things he taught me that not just to solve the problem that was today, but that I could take with me and continue to use for years.
Ken, you should probably come up with a top 10 list, like David Letterman, here's the top, because Cheryl, that's beautiful. Those are principles that, just you need to learn in life, period, and obviously running a very successful tire business, they're plain and simple, treat people with respect. Don't, all the stuff you said, don't expect somebody to do a job that you wouldn't do, and on and on. So good luck. Congratulations on that, Ken. That's awesome. So also, Cheryl, what programs now, since you've taken over at the helm at K&M, what programs have you brought involved with it as the company is involved in such a big corporation?
Probably a couple that come to mind is training and development. That was huge for me. I felt like we had a lot of great people here. We just didn't do a great job of training them and developing them. And so when we had positions available, supervisors, managers, things like that, we didn't prepare them well enough for them to be ready for those type of positions. So especially as we experienced a lot of growth and had more of those type of positions available, felt like that was a huge need that we needed to figure out a solution to. So probably about 8 years ago, we started a training and development department here at K&M. And every year we try to improve it and get a little bit better at that. And I was really excited when I was looking back at some numbers. I believe we had 21 people that were promoted last year that are still currently in those positions. So I'm really proud of that for K&M that we have that type of program, and for the people here that they're interested and passionate enough to put in the time and effort to continue to develop themselves. So that's one that I'm super excited about. Another one is our warehouse management system. So we used to just do everything in Excel, like where are we going to store this tire? We would mark a place in the warehouse, and that's where that one would go. Well, that's very manual and time consuming. And so anyways, we now have a system in place where we scan the tire, scan the bin, and you can put it any place you want in the warehouse. You don't have to have a spot for that particular tire. So it really helps with accuracy. So we can ship the customers the tires that they ordered more often, the right tire, and not short them. And it also helps with training our people. It also helps with being able to bring in more tires. Because you don't have to save an empty spot for a tire that's on back order. You just fill every spot you have available. So anyways, those are a couple of the two biggest programs that I think that I've brought in over the years.
So Cheryl, if you make an acquisition of a dealer in a particular marketplace, and obviously he doesn't have this set up, so then you need to bring your people in to make sure it's the same as all the other warehouses, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And that takes some time. That's awesome. So from one employee, Ken, to how many employees you have today, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm not sure what the number is. It's around 800, but Cheryl maybe knows a little bit closer to the exact number, but it's around 800.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Ken, let's talk about some of your mentors that help you learn the ropes in the tire business. Who were some of your mentors?
Well, of course, I have to mention Paul Zurcher. He was great, of course. Another one with that group was Ray Monteith. I learned a lot from Ray Monteith. He was in the retread business for a little while, which I was also, and I think we both learned a lot. The main thing I learned was retread business is not good for me. So I got out of it. He also got out of it. But we both were real happy selling new tires and it worked out great for us. Also, the Ohio Tire Dealers Association, learned a lot from them, and of course the manufacturers, with some of the seminars, and they had, Bridgestone, Firestone, they had some great seminars and learned a lot, which I needed to, because when I started, I didn't know anything about business, let alone the tire business. So I've learned a lot, and it has been very good for me.
Similar to you, I started, busting tires in a tire store, Firestone Tire Store in Southside Chicago. And I learned early on in my career also that because I had to do everything, commercial, ag, off the highway, they kept moving me and promoting me and whatever. I learned early on that anything above my waist kind of scared me a little bit. Okay. So I tried to, just like you with retreading, I tried to stay everything from my waist down, and I was more successful that way.
Yeah.
So Cheryl and Ken, you talked earlier, Ken, about how you guys have grown in your 52-year history. I mean, let me say this one more time. 32 distribution centers in 25 states. 32 distribution centers in 25 states. I mean, can you guys pinpoint at any timeline where all of a sudden some major growth moments happened during that 52-year period?
Yes. So in the beginning, so I think it was 1996, we decided to try the big city. So we bought Rail Tire in Detroit in 1996, and that was a pretty big step for us, because we never were in the big cities. Now we're in Michigan. We're from a little Odelphus, Ohio. It was a big step, but it was a good step. And Cheryl, maybe you can add a little bit about that.
Sure. One of the challenges at that time was, again, bigger city, different people. A lot of people before we dealt with, farmers and rural and things like that. So it was a little bit of a shock for us. So a growth moment for us was figuring out we needed to hire a full-time credit manager to help out collecting the past dues and making sure that we were extending credit to the right people and doing a good job there. So that was a challenge for that at that time, and a big growth moment for K&M.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was a big move, Rayo's Tires. I remember Dwayne with his white glove treatment thing that he had. Remember?
25.
Yeah, and Metro 25. Very good. Yeah, and then he
Right.
had phones and everything else. Then I think he figured out he was making more money on phones than he was selling tires or something.
Yeah. And then I guess following that, it was I think it was 2000, we bought Barry Tire in Chicago, and he had 3 locations. Each one of the locations did some retail and some wholesale. So that was another big city that we was trying, and it took a little bit, but it turned out real good for us also. And I'm sure back in the home office here, Cheryl was, I like to go real fast and just do it. Cheryl, she has to figure out how to make it all work.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'm not sure what changes she all made after we bought Barry, but I know there was some.
Yeah. So, the first thing we did, like Ken said, it had 3 wholesale and retail locations. We either sold the retail or closed the retail stores and just focused on the wholesale, because of course that's what we do, K&M Tire. So that was the first thing we did. But one thing that came out of that, a big growth moment for us, was we started a transfer system. So we didn't have all the tires we needed in Chicago, and we needed a way to get tires from Delphus to Chicago. So it was Ken's idea that let's run a semi overnight from Delphus to Chicago, have them there first thing in the morning. We can still get the tires on the truck in the morning before they go out for delivery in Chicago. And I wasn't real sure if that was a great plan, especially a great long-term plan, but we started that in 2000, and we're still doing it today. And actually, I think it was pretty amazing when I look back at it right now. That was such a terrific idea that has really helped us, help K&M grow and help us to be able to better service our customers. So that was something that really stood out and was just a great move for us.
That's something core that you said there when you bought Barry Tire, because I remember in Chicago, he was a Goodyear dealer and he had some locations. So when you buy a business, you don't want to compete with your customers. You're the distributor. So you ended up either turning them over to somebody else or closing them. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And that makes sense because, why compete with your customer base? That doesn't make sense, right?
Right. Yep.
So Cheryl, how do you, well, let's go back before I do that. So then Ken, after Chicago, what was your next major market after Chicago?
Triton Tire. So they had 5 locations from North Dakota down to Arkansas, I think, was the further south. So all through the Midwest, they had 5 different locations. It was a big move for us. They did about 40% of what we was doing. So we grew by 40%, 40% overnight with that acquisition. And that again, with 5 additional locations, that doubled our locations or come close to doubling our locations. So it was a big move, and it was a big challenge for Cheryl to make it all work.
Well, thank you, Cheryl, for doing all that, because that is a big challenge.
Yeah, it sure was. And that was about the time when we started to bring in a lot of new people to K&M, a lot more than in the past, and started to see where maybe our vision, mission, and values weren't being top of mind as much as what we would like to have seen them be. So it's sort of when we hit the pause button and said, okay, time out. We need to, first of all, look at our vision, mission, and values and make sure those are really the ones that we want to continue to move forward with. And then make sure that everybody here at K&M, that they know them, that they're aware of them, and they know that this is the expectations and how we want to continue to do business at K&M. Because we, was starting to, as we added more employees, it was very easy to lose sight of that and just become this big company with a lot of employees where people didn't know each other or maybe treat each other right and things like that. So that was a good time where we said, time out. Vision, mission, and values is important to K&M. We need to make sure that we do that. We have that in mind going forward, and we focus and don't forget where we came from.
Well, and I think you guys do a really, really good job. I was fortunate enough about 5 years ago to come to Kansas City, where you had one of your dealer meetings, and you invited me as a speaker, and to see the energy, the positive energy that happens when you bring customers together that maybe haven't seen each other or haven't seen each other for a long time and can start sharing experiences, and you have seminars, different manufacturers put on stuff. I mean, that's all good stuff, besides giving all the cars and stuff away.
Yeah, that helps too.
But no, that's really, really exciting. So Cheryl, how do you see the business growing? You talked about culture and values, which are so important. So 2022, 5 years from now, are you still seeing a pretty strong growth, or are you just going to see what's available? How is your strategy working there?
Yeah, so, our strategy is to always keep the customer, top of mind. They're the most important. We want to make sure that we're servicing them very well. So a lot of times we look at growth in areas to better service our customers, or to maybe just expand where we're at geographically, just, push that outside just a little bit further and continue to grow that way. So, no plans of stopping that growth. We all still here at K&M love what we're doing. We're very passionate about it, and growing is fun for us. We love acquisitions. It gets our blood pumping, and it's exciting. So definitely can see more in our future.
Ken, you did a good job with her. You really did. You really did. So Ken, we shared a lot of memories together over the years together. What are some of your favorite memories of Ken Langhals and Johnny G?
Well, Johnny, I think the first time I met you, of course, I didn't know who you were, and we was on a bus in Chicago. I don't know where we was going, not sure about that, but I think Tom Keefus was a region manager there at that time. So I think that's the first time I met you. And then, of course, you invited us to go to Australia, and that was what a trip of a lifetime. I always dreamt of going to Australia, but never really thought I would go there. And here you send us an invitation to go. Ends up you got married on the beach there. It was that was an awesome trip. Yeah, you and Kimberly, yeah, just great. And
I was just going to say, for our
remember,
audience, I invited 100 of our best friends, right, tire dealers, to go to Australia. We fly into Sydney. We spend 5-6 days. We do the bridge climb. We do sheep shearing. We did the opera house. We did everything, right? And then we fly into the Great Barrier Reef, and nobody knows when they get off the bus that they're going to our wedding. Everybody's like casual, and we wanted to keep it that way. And so it was so good that you guys attended the wedding. That was very nice, as well as everybody else.
Yeah, that was awesome. And the other thing I remember, when Firestone had a recall, I don't remember what year, it was around 2000, 2001, there was some time they had a recall, and everybody was nervous. They wasn't sure what was going on. The dealers, they wasn't sure if they should keep selling Firestone, and would Firestone even be around next year. And you came around and talked to the dealers, and you convinced them that Firestone always did the right thing, and you were going to continue to do the right thing. And they certainly believed what you said, and it hurt a little bit. The tire sales was down a little bit, but next year they came right back. And a lot of it was because you came out, you spent the time on the road visiting all the dealers, and it made a big difference.
Well, it goes back to what happens today with the news. I have trouble watching the news, by the way. I don't know if you guys do, but back then it was a slow news day. It was August 9th of 2000. And what caught us off guard was that Ken Langhals never called me. Paul Zurcher never called me. Paul Swensel never called me and said, hey, you got problems with your tires. Larry Morgan down in Florida never called me. Nobody of all my customers, and I was vice president at the time, nobody ever called me and say, hey, you got a problem with the tire. Because if you're going to have a problem with something, you're going to hear from your customers first, right? And to hear it on the news and to find out how many tires it was. And then, so I learned early on, the best thing that my bosses told me was to get out there and face whatever the issue is head on, go out and give them the facts. A guy by the name of Mario Andretti came with me. I spent 307 days on the road that year. I never traveled so much in my life. But, it was the dealers and our store employees that kept the company alive. And I just kind of coached it away. And Lampy went to Washington and did his gig in front of Congress and took I couldn't do that. I mean, that's brutal, being in front of senators and congressmen and whatever. But it all worked out. And here we are 20 some years later. And, it's like a blip in the screen, But at the time, it was pretty important. Yes, it was.
Yeah. You made them. You made the message come loud and clear that Firestone was going to take care of us, and you certainly did.
Well, thank you for that, and thanks for all the business and that you've given us and continue to give us, Cheryl and Ken. I really appreciate that. So, guys, I really want to thank you for being part of Johnny G and Friends today. It's so great to hear, Ken, your stories, and $100 to what you have today. I think your investment paid off real well. And Cheryl, good luck in the future. And please, are you ready to take over this company? Because I want Ken to come out and do some bike riding with me in Arizona here, and maybe come down to Nashville with me a little bit. Would you?
I'm ready whenever, he's ready to do that. I have a lot of great people here. We built a great team over the years. And I think we're ready for whatever comes, whenever it comes. So bring it on, but no rush either, because still get a lot of value, a lot of good input from him every day. So no rush, but if he wants to go bike riding, have at it.
Ken, what do you say, buddy?
Well, I agree with Cheryl. She can certainly handle it. I come here because I love it. I don't come here because I need to, because Cheryl and the great people here, they have it covered.
Well, that's great. Well, you got to be very proud of what your daughter has accomplished. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I'm I'm so excited about the podcast I'm doing. There's more and more females taking over their dad's companies, and I think it's just wonderful. Julie Holmes was one from a few weeks ago at Virginia Tire, took over from her father, Myron. So anyway, great having you guys on my podcast. Thanks again, and stay healthy. All right, guys.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Johnny.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You don't need magic to disappear for a while, because Firestone tires were built for ticking off mile markers. Firestone Destination LE3 tires. For 70,000 miles of exploring. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.